Have you ever watched the person you love more than life itself turn into a complete stranger right before your eyes? I saw it in the faint blue glow of a phone screen at 2 in the morning. My wife Jessica was asleep, her face a perfect, peaceful mask. But her phone, lying screen up on the nightstand, pulsed with a message from a name I didn't recognize. Mark. The text was simple. Just 3 words. Tonight was incredible. My heart didn't just break, it vaporized. Every shared dream, every whispered promise, all of it turned to ash in my throat. I stood there in the suffocating silence of our Chicago brownstone, the city lights painting cold stripes across the floor, and realized the woman beside me was living a whole other life. This wasn't just a crack in our marriage. It was a canyon, and I was standing on the edge, looking into the abyss she had created. Her birthday was in 2 weeks, and I knew exactly what I was going to give her. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The first sign, looking back, wasn't the phone. It was the laughter. It was a Friday night, and I'd just gotten home from a brutal week at the law firm on LaSalle Street. I walked in expecting the usual comfortable quiet, maybe the scent of the takeout she loved from that Thai place on Clark. Instead, I heard her laughing in the living room, a bright bubbling sound I hadn't heard directed at me in months. She was on the phone, her back to the door. "Oh, stop it, you're terrible," she giggled, twirling a strand of her blonde hair. The moment she saw me, her face changed. The light went out. "Have to go," she said, her voice suddenly flat. She hung up. "Hey you," she said, the smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Long day?" The shift was so fast, so complete, it was like a mask had dropped into place. The warmth was gone, replaced by a polite, distant coolness. That night, as we lay in bed, a 6-inch gap between us that felt like a mile, I felt a profound sense of humiliation. I was the boring, predictable husband, the provider, the rock, and she was. Where else? The strange behavior escalated. There were late-night work emergencies for her marketing job, a field that had never been demanding before. Receipts for lunches at expensive restaurants in the Loop I was never invited to. She started guarding her phone like it was a state secret, the screen angled away from me, a nervous tick in her thumb as she scrolled. One evening, I tried to bridge the gap. I'd bought tickets to the Chicago Symphony, something we used to love. When I showed them to her, she barely glanced up from her laptop. "Oh, that's sweet, honey, but I'm swamped. You have that big Q3 launch." Her voice was cold, dismissive. It was a tone I'd heard partners at my firm use to shut down a junior associate. It was manipulative, designed to make me feel small and unreasonable for even asking. The villains, her, and this invisible Mark, felt untouchable. They were wrapped in a bubble of inside jokes and secret meetings, while I was on the outside, pressing my face against the glass, a ghost in my own home. The breaking point came on a rainy Tuesday. I came home early, soaked and miserable, hoping for a quiet evening. I found her in the kitchen, on the phone again. This time I heard the name. "Mark, I can't talk right now," she whispered, her voice tight with irritation. "You just walked in." She hung up and turned to me, her expression hardening. "You're home early. There was no welcome, only accusation." "Yeah, the storm's a mess," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Who's Mark?" The question hung in the air, heavy and ugly. She rolled her eyes, a gesture of pure contempt. "He's a new graphic designer." "God, are you keeping tabs on me now? Is that what this is?" She spun it so expertly. I almost believed I was the one in the wrong. The gaslighting was a masterpiece of cruelty. That night, the dam inside me broke. I went into the guest room, closed the door, and slid to the floor, the sobs I'd been swallowing for months finally tearing their way out. It was a gut-wrenching, soul-emptying grief for the man I was and the marriage I thought I had. When the tears stopped, something new and cold had taken their place. The broken man was gone. A strategist was born. My revenge began not with a bang, but with a click. The click of a keylogger installing on her laptop. The quiet whir of a micro-recorder I tucked under the passenger seat of her car. Became a phantom, gathering evidence with a chilling detachment. I read the transcripts of their calls, sickeningly sweet and dripping with disdain for me. "He's just so stable," she'd told Mark one afternoon, parked near the Lincoln Park Zoo. So boring, not like you. I downloaded the hotel receipts from the peninsula, charged to a secret credit card. I took screenshots of their texts, planning their weekend getaways while I was working late to pay for our life. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who delivered a manila envelope full of high-resolution photos of them kissing outside a restaurant in the West Loop, looking like the happy couple I thought we were. Each piece of evidence was a fresh stab to the heart, but I didn't bleed anymore. I just filed it away, a prosecutor building an airtight case. I was setting traps. I moved half of our joint savings into a private account. I met with the senior partners at my firm, laid out the situation, and secured their backing. I was preparing for war. Her birthday arrived on a crisp October morning. The whole week she'd been giddy, dropping hints about a diamond bracelet she'd seen at a jeweler on Michigan Avenue. She came downstairs in a new dress, a brilliant, predatory smile on her face. "Happy birthday to me," she sang, holding out her hands expectantly. I didn't smile. I handed her a beautifully wrapped gift box, the same size as a jewelry box. Her eyes lit up. "Michael, you shouldn't have," she purred, tearing at the paper. She lifted the lid, and her smile froze, then crumbled. Inside, nestled on a bed of black velvet, was not a bracelet. It was a single, glossy, 8x10 photograph of her and Mark, kissing in front of the hotel. Underneath it were the hotel receipts, the credit card statements, and printed transcripts of their most damning conversations. Her face went white. What is this?" she stammered, her voice a choked whisper. "That," I said, my voice as cold and quiet as a tomb, "is your severance package." Just then, the doorbell rang. She looked at me, pure panic in her eyes. I walked to the door and opened it to reveal her parents and my parents, all holding gifts, their faces beaming. "Surprise," they all shouted. The public exposure had begun. The fallout was biblical. Her parents saw the box's contents, their faces shifting from celebration to horror. Her mother started crying. Her father, a man I'd always respected, just looked at his daughter with a profound, silent disappointment that was worse than any yelling. I had already filed for divorce that morning, citing irrefutable proof of adultery. Our assets were frozen, but not before I had secured my half. She was left with nothing, her company. Once they were anonymously tipped off about her using company time and resources for her affair, fired her. Her friends, many of whom were my friends first, saw the proof and backed away, leaving her socially radioactive. She was ruined utterly and completely, not by shouting or screaming, but by the quiet, methodical execution of a plan born from heartbreak. The arrogant, untouchable woman was gone, replaced by a hollowed-out shell. Stripped of her husband, her money, her job, and her reputation, I sold the brownstone. The last time I saw her was across the polished table in the lawyer's office. She looked thin, tired, a ghost of the vibrant woman I had once loved. She tried to speak, to apologize, but the words wouldn't come. There was nothing left to say. The legal papers were signed in silence. I walked out of that building on Wacker Drive and didn't look back. Sometimes late at night in my new apartment overlooking the river, I think about that blue light from her phone the moment the world shifted. The revenge wasn't a victory, it was just an ending. It was the closing of a door, locking away a part of my life in a room I would never visit again. The silence she left behind is the loudest thing I've ever heard. The end.